Welcome, everyone, to the Outtakes Movie Podcast, where we're going to go through every single movie of all time and rank them objectively best to worst. I'm joined, as always, by my elite crew of film scholars, joined by Jacob. How's things?
Oh, I'm first. Love it. Very nice. Hello. I wasn't expecting that.
Joe, what's going on, friend?
It's alright. It's a bit dark in here, but no. I don't know why.
Wonder why.
But yeah.
Amelia, how's things?
Hello, things are great.
And the keen-eyed among you may have noticed that I did that in reverse order, because this week we are covering Memento. So before I hand off to Jacob to talk about the movie, I advise everyone to have watched the movie beforehand, because we're going to be spoiling it in full, and let us know what you think as we go through it. Jacob, tell us all about Memento.
So, Memento. So the way I'm going to do this one, because it's not the easiest. Like, in the past, we'll talk about a movie, start to finish, we go through all the events, and we talk about them. It's not as easy to do that with this movie. So, I've got the chronological order written down, and when I get to that, that'll be like the main bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of some fun trivia, the order, and then the shit trivia can come at the end.
Okay.
So, this is one of Christopher Nolan's movies. Well, it's probably more of a film than a movie, isn't it? It had a budget of $4.5 million.
That's nothing.
It's not nothing at all. Does anyone want to hazard a guess at its box office?
Do you know what? I mean, it'll have profited, definitely. I do think it'll have profited, but I don't think it'll be massive, because it's definitely the sort of, like, film lovers sort of film.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for, like, 30 million. Low.
Okay.
Is this opening weekend, or is this
This is just box office.
just in general? I'm gonna go high. I'm gonna do 100 mil.
Interesting. Okay. Amelia?
See, I suck at this every time. Like, okay. So we've had 30 and 100.
It's somewhere between those two. I'll give you a hint.
70.
Okay, so the actual box office, Sam, you were closest, 39.7 million.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
low
It's way off.
compared to like your other films,
Yeah.
but profit-wise, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking good.
They're in the green.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, it was released at the Venice Film Festival first in September 2000, before it then got a general release in the US the following year in March. So the notable cast for this is short, really short. There are only like really 3 characters.
Yeah.
So we've got Aldrich Killian from Iron Man 3, Trinity from The Matrix, and that captain from Bad Boys.
Oh yeah.
No.
Go on.
Oh my god, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think this is the first film we're doing that has a cast member that we've already talked about one of their previous films. I think.
Probably.
No, it's not, because... Oh, no, never mind, it is. No. I forgot that we did Batman Forever and not the original Batman or Batman Returns. No, no, carry on. Yeah, no.
So,
yeah, it is.
Bad Boys is doing us.
Friend of the show, the
There you
captain
go.
from Bad Boys is back.
And
Captain from
that
Bad
was
Boys
yours
is
as well,
back.
Jacob.
Does anyone ever
There you
watch
go.
The Sopranos? Because he's a main character in that as well. Just saying.
No, I hear it's good though.
It's good in that. It's very good.
Was I
Get
the
on
only
that.
one as well that was convinced that Brad Pitt was the star of this movie? Because I kept thinking in my head, for whatever reason, Leonard has been played by Brad Pitt for my entire
He's got
life.
one of those faces.
And it's not him
I
at
can
all.
understand it.
It's not him
think
at all.
he-
Even the when he holds the picture up of the car, that really iconic shot, in my head it's
Yeah.
been Brad Pitt.
I get what you mean.
Brad Pitt
Yeah.
was gonna be Leonard.
Oh.
The only reason he didn't was due to scheduling issues. He was really interested in the role. Nolan eventually
Oh, wow.
settled for Guy Pearce because he wasn't famous
Poor Guy
at
Pearce.
the time. Really, that was
What a
genuinely
shame.
it. He wasn't that famous. So right, yeah, go on then.
He'll do.
He's
Exactly.
cheap. It's fine. Do someone else do him instead. I get what you're thinking though, because he kind of looks. I got kind
does
of
look like Brad Pitt
like
in it.
Brad Pitt in like Snatch or Fight Club kind of thing
I'm
from
gonna say
around
some
that
big
Brad
Fight
Pitt
Club
of the
vibes in
time.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Like, he looks like Brad Pitt at the time, I think. So I get that, to be fair.
So yeah, this is actually, technically, an adaptation. It's based on a short story that his brother told him, which is interesting.
Oh.
That is cool.
It had a similar name, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was basically the whole premise of guys got, like, short-term memory loss or this very specific sort of amnesia. Totally forgotten what it's called.
I can't remember what it's called.
Ironically, there you go. But yeah, it got nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Original Screenplay and Best Editing. Didn't win them.
You can see why for the editing.
Yeah.
Editing is fantastic in this. I've got this great big long list of all the things that it was nominated and won, which we might look at later.
Oh, wow.
Depending on how much time we've got. But it won a lot of stuff. People like this movie. Critics absolutely, like, they fucking love it. In what year was it? 2016, the U.S. Library of Congress decided to preserve this film in the National Film Registry. Another fun little bit of trivia. Not that relevant, but this is the only film that's done it since... Oh, what was the last one before it?
Gremlins 2.
Oh, could you imagine?
Is that because we were talking about it today?
It'd be brilliant.
Love that.
But yeah, so people, basically, the point I'm trying to get across is people think this is pretty fucking good. Does anyone want to take a guess as to how long they were filming for? Like, how many days of filming?
I don't think it was long at all. I don't think it was long.
Yeah.
Because a lot of footage is cleverly reused in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, if you do put it all in chronological order, you're probably looking at a movie that, like, the runtime is just under 2 hours, but I reckon you're looking at about an hour and a half, maybe even less, if you put it all in order. So I think it was quick.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'd say under a month, easily.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'd say either a month or, like, 2-3 weeks.
25 days.
Wow, yeah.
That's impressive.
25 days,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Like, that's like nothing. So it had no budget, took like no time to film, and everyone fucking loves it, except loads of the production companies that didn't want to put it out. So many of them were really reluctant to do it.
Yeah.
Notable name, the scumbag himself, good old Harvey Weinstein. Hated it. Didn't like it.
I'm glad he didn't put it out.
I was gonna say.
Same. So much so that even after it did really well, he then tried to buy it off that production company afterwards.
Of course he did.
So, what a prick.
Yeah.
I can think of no other reason why he would be a total arsehole. That's a joke.
See, that surprises me. Like, why didn't he like this? Why did he not like this one? Which, I know it was all backwards and stuff, but it kind of still had, like, the story still had, like, a wave. What's the word? You followed it really well. It had, like, a... Because
do you think, though?
Yeah.
Do you think that Weinstein would have read the script or just heard the pitch and gone, no?
That's
Because
true,
I think
maybe.
because it's
Pitch,
it's a really strong script, and I think if you do read it, you'd be like, oh yeah, no, this is absolutely. But if you just hear the pitch, you go, nah, audiences aren't going to buy it. Fuck it. No.
Well, see, that's what I mean. Like,
Studios
it's
don't trust
actually.
people.
Yeah, like the way it's laid out, it's got like a narrative, like, structure to it. Whereas, so he didn't like this film, but he was happy to make Pulp Fiction, which it doesn't kind of. He just mixes and matches.
That's a good point, I suppose. Yeah.
Scene, you know what I mean? That one doesn't.
Like, the structure works way better.
Exactly, this one's got a structure to it, even though it's backwards and stuff. But he's like, oh yeah, Pulp Fiction's fine. Let's just.
Do you think that's because of Tarantino?
100%.
Yeah, that's 100% probably because Tarantino.
He knew it himself.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean,
like,
in fairness,
maybe
it wasn't a bad
also.
call because this didn't make a lot of money, relatively speaking. It made a lot of profit, but not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Most cult films don't. If you look at like what are cult films today, most of the time it's because they don't do well on the box office and people miss it.
Yeah.
It's when they come out like on
this
DVD and stuff, innit?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the DVD, when it came out on DVD, there was this lot of secret hidden features on one of them that allowed you to watch the film in chronological order.
Oh wow!
I heard about that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and speaking of the chronological chronological order of this film. So I'm going to try... I'm going to see if this works. Jump in at any point if you feel like there's something that I've missed or got a bit wrong, but this is what I got. So, chronologically, he's just in a motel. He wakes up and does all his usual checks of what's in the drawers, where am I, what's going on, is this my place, all of that, which I like how he did that, how he had some sort of system. The phone rings, and he just answers it straight away, and just starts talking to whoever's on the phone. Like this big old backstory. A lot of which, Guy Pearce was improvising a lot of that. So he was told what the facts were and what the story was, but the way he phrased it and the way he told it all, that was all his own...
That's quite cool.
His own words.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite cool. Because it meant that at the same time it could be similar or different depending on what he remembered. Because that's the whole point. If he repeated himself, that was fine, because his character wouldn't remember. The phone rings again, and he learns that John G., this mysterious raping murderer, is a drug dealer. I don't know how he got that information. I think that was Teddy at that point, telling him, oh yeah, here's this guy you got to go kill. Envelope comes on the door with a picture of him pointing at the little spot on his chest, looking all happy. He obviously doesn't recognise it, and when we see it as well for the first time, we haven't a clue what that's about. Which is why I like the structure so much. The way it's intercut with this black and white stuff, with the stuff going backwards.
I mean that's this is a credit to this movie, is that even though... do you know what? This is a thing about Nolan in general. Does anyone else feel like people overplay how confusing his movies can be? Because this was a big thing in when Inception came out. People were like, "Whoa, how do you figure out Inception?" And I finally watched it, and I was like, "Yeah, I got that." I was a child, and I was still like, "Yeah, no, it's fine." In this movie as well, like people play up, "Oh, it's just really confusing to sit through the," but like. It's not, because there's lots of really cool visual clues about when things are taking place, like characters' scars or what they're wearing or things in the set that wouldn't have been there. There's lots of things that like let you know what's going on. And one of the big things is that this stuff, this phone call, this really long phone call with Teddy, it's all shot in black and white. And that's just this really subtle nod to the audience that, look, whatever is going on in the rest of the movie, where you're not quite sure if this where this scene might be, all of this stuff, reasonably, it's in the past. You can you can rest assured that this is the start of the plot. So it's a nice touch.
I mean, the fact that the facts are numbered as well.
Yep. It
allows you to keep track of, okay, so if he's tattooing the thing about that, and that's number 5, and then at this point he's got 6. Okay, sure. This is how this works. I think what's quite cool as well, you were saying, because of how this film works, it's got some rewatchability. Like, you watch it the first time, haven't a fucking clue what's going on. It makes you want to watch it again. Like, I want to go back and rewatch this film, because it was just like intriguing for sure.
Well, see, this was my this was my second viewing of it, and. It's like when you watch Fight Club again, once you know the spoiler at the end. Mm-hmm. It's a different kind of movie. Like, it's really weird. You look at kind of everyone differently. And it's one of those films that has a good plot twist, but like when you watch it again, you're never going to get the same kind of shot.
It's like a one-time experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Part of the fun is figuring out what everyone's motive really is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That was... So when I was watching it again, I was kind of like, it's good, but it's probably not as good as it was when I very first watched it. I'm not as invested. It's a good film still, so I was invested in it, but like, I wasn't as invested, because I knew what the big plot twist was, and I knew the whole thing, and it was... But, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I think the rankings of how we rank it at the end might demonstrate that. But yeah, that's the end. That's to come. So eventually he decides that he's going to leave this motel. He sees Teddy, decides that's the cop, although it turns out that is the cop. Teddy is a bit of a prick as cops go, but that's him. He is that cop that they're always talking about. Teddy tells him that the name of John G is actually Jimmy Grant's. So they go, okay, right, let's go kill this guy. So they go, they kill him at the house, and then at this point, that's when it switches to colour, or that comes at the end of the film, but this is where it transitions.
Yeah.
And this is where you get the big bombshell and everything makes sense, and you go, oh, okay, that's why all these things are happening. And it's at that point where I think, like, Leonard, he fucks himself up here. He gets pissed off because he can't remember, and so decides that, like, if he'd sat and thought for a bit and gone, no, actually, I'm not going to remember this. I am going to eventually kill this guy. He's already decided that he doesn't like Teddy that much.
Yeah.
That he's going to kill him there and then, because
you just invent new John G's perpetually forever. Yeah.
And that's exactly what he does. He tells him the future version of himself that won't remember, this is the guy, just kill this guy, by writing down his license plate. And then obviously he forgets, finds he's got to tattoo the license plate, goes and gets it tattooed, and then he finds in his pocket the beer mat, saying to go meet Natalie, and obviously it's not his jacket pocket, but he assumes it was, because why would he be wearing a dead man's clothes?
Yeah.
Sure, fair enough, feasible. And then that also then explains that when his car pulled up, it wasn't, and that's why Natalie thought it was Jimmy. It all makes sense from here on out. One bit that really, this is a bit earlier on in the film that kind of made me twig on, because you can't decide throughout the whole thing who the good guy is. I mean, none of them are really that great, but if it's anyone, it's Teddy, probably. He's abusing someone's disability to remember, or inability to remember even, to kill this drug dealer. But he isn't the murderer of his wife.
Yeah.
Of Leonard's wife. But at the point where eventually Leonard finds his way back to Natalie's house and she runs around and hides all the pens, you immediately know that she doesn't want him to remember something. And that just screams suspicious.
She's one of the characters that I was saying before, like, she, when you first watch it, you feel bad for her, don't you? Because you think, like, she's being, like, abused or whatever, and it does the thing with the car, and shows you the bit of her getting out of the car with the bruises on her face. And then when it shows you the next bit, where she gets in the car, she's watching him.
Really clever, that.
Yeah.
So good.
So she goes from being you feel really bad for her, then all of a sudden, just like that, she's really evil.
Yep.
And, like, she's proper, like, it's so weird. But then when you watch it again, the bit where it makes you feel bad for her kind of doesn't have the same effect. Because you're just looking at her like, oh, evil bitch, kind of thing. So it's really... I remember being like, that one bit where that was one of the bits in the whole film when I first watched it. I was like, oh my god, she's a bad guy, whoa! I was like proper amazed by it. But the second time round, I was just kind of like, yeah, I remember how good that was when I didn't know it. It was fine. It was, and I mean, because I think he chose to, like, on the second bit, he chose to cut it, like, really well. You know what I mean? No, hold on. The first bit, where it shows her getting out of the car, I think he chose a really good bit to start from, because you've got, like, the instant sympathy. That's the word I'm looking for. It's for her, yeah. But yeah, proceed.
True. I was saying that this is the point where we realise that something's not quite right with her. If anyone's being dishonest, it's probably her. Did you guys kind of find that it was around this sort of point as well, or did you have your suspicions earlier or later, depending
I had them earlier, I'm not going to lie.
I mean,
That's fair.
The movie got me totally, because the way it's framed is that there is evidence presented to Leonard that, oh, maybe she's trying to get you, maybe she's trying to trick you. But the guy who's presenting that is Teddy, and almost every single scene with Teddy ends with Leonard turning his photo over, and it says, don't believe his lies.
Yeah.
So, the film got me. The film got me.
I was saying. When did you think you realised, Amelia?
I'm trying to think of the exact scene. I think it was that scene where he's in, like, that diner or whatever, and he walks in and she's sat there, and it's like, oh, you don't remember me, and all that. I don't know, something to me was just off, and like part of me thought, I don't know, like I don't know, something. I can't quite explain it.
I think,
but something was off.
yeah, I think I know what you mean. Actually, I feel like the first time I watched it, as soon as she walked in, I kind of got like a weird vibe from her.
Yeah.
But then as soon as the whole thing happened with the car or whatever, and she explains, I'm kind of like, it tricked me into, to forget that suspicion I had of her and to feel bad for her kind of thing. And then, switched around again.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough. One thing that I think, when I watched it for the first time, I didn't really struggle to get an idea of time scale. The film itself, you understand, that happens over a relatively short period of time. But you don't know how long ago his wife was murdered. You don't know how long he's had the condition.
Yeah.
All of that just made it seem like he'd been hunting this one guy for ages, and you also assume that that one guy was still out there. The idea of, oh, well, if he killed him, he will have forgotten, that never dawned on me. So the fact that it was just this one guy, I was as tricked as he was into it.
Yeah.
What sucks is the fact that everything starts going wrong when people start lying to him. Teddy was lying to him about who John G was. Trinity was lying to... She's Trinity now, alright, don't care. She started lying to him, and everything went a bit tits up for him from there as well, because he trusts people too much. He knows that you can't remember, but still he puts loads of faith in someone. He doesn't ever seem to think that anyone would lie to him. So he's a bit naive, but he can't remember, so of course he's going to be. Yeah, so then you get this whole little Dodd side story, which for ages I thought his name was Todd, and they were just saying his name wrong. And then when he wrote it down, I was like, oh wait, no, yeah, sure, Dodd. Great name, why not? They have that weird little chase at the caravan park.
There was something weird here, right?
Go on.
And I mean, maybe this can just be explained by the fact that guns are commercial products. But Dodd's gun is the same gun that Leonard has when John G breaks in and rapes his wife. And I was like, that's going to be a thing. And it never ended up being a thing.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I didn't pick up on that.
No,
I was watching the one gun as to whose gun it was, because he woke up in the bed and he found a gun in his drawer. He was like, oh, this must be my gun, because he woke up in a bed. He never... But then I was following the path of that one, but I never realised that the gun was the same. I didn't know those.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. I mean, again, it's solved by just guns are commercial products. Maybe they just happen to buy the same model of gun. But I was just like, I was surprised it didn't end up being a thing.
Yeah,
it could have just been that like, it could have literally just been that he just had the prop and they were like, it's fine.
Yeah,
it makes sense, doesn't it? Why buy another prop?
Yeah,
gun
exactly.
When you've just already got one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the Dodd thing happens. They send him away. The bit with it all gets a bit confusing. In case you couldn't tell already, I've already lost my fucking place.
To be fair, I was quite confused when I watched it. This is where I think the editing comes in quite strong, because editing can make or break a film, and especially in a film like this. Like you were saying, Joe, if you don't cut at a certain point, or if you don't decide to show that specific frame, or if you don't, do you know what I mean? Sometimes, a story can be lost, but if you edit it well, then you can get that storyline, which I think is really important.
Yeah. You could cut out a tiny bit of information that you think is pointless, but then when you look at it through the whole film, it could be quite crucial, or even it could just be crucial to the just the tone of the scene, or the tone of the whole film. I don't know. It just with that one particular scene, that's the one I had in mind. They cut it right, because she wasn't even in the car that long. If they cut it just a second earlier, it would have looked like it might have looked like she was sitting in the car rather than her getting out the car straight away. I don't know. It's just, that's the only example I can think of, but I think they cut it right at the perfect time for it to be most effective. So,
Yeah, so eventually he winds back up at the discount inn. I say back, I think there's just a different motel. Because it was the fact that he got put in more than one room as well. That confused me, because I'm convinced there is more than one motel involved.
Yeah.
And then when there's more than one room in one of the motels, that just fucking confusing. Then when you just can't keep track. One thing that has just come to my mind, actually, I watched this on my phone. Watched it on playback. Didn't go to the cinema, obviously. But that definitely impacted the way I watched it. Because there's one of the black and white scenes. They're talking about Sammy in the care home, and he's sat there, and there's a shot where one of the carers walks past him, and as the carer walks past him, it becomes Leonard sat in the chair, not Sammy, and I spotted it, and it's a split second, where one of those where if you blink and you miss it, and because I saw it, and because I could just go back 10 seconds and rewatch it and look for it, it definitely, I was able to go, it was okay, I see what's actually going on here, and reassure myself. Yeah. But I think that definitely, if you're watching that in the cinema, obviously you can't do that. So it's definitely, you definitely get a different experience being able to just scrub across the timeline wherever you want. But
it's like that bit in Fight Club again, where it's at the beginning, isn't it, where you see flashes of him.
Oh my god!
The flash frames. Yeah.
You don't even see it. But, if you do see it, it's weird, isn't it? You think you see it. When you first watch it, you think you see it. And you're like, did I just... What was that? Something just... You don't know what it is, especially the first time you watch it, because you haven't met the character yet. You don't understand.
Yeah.
It just... So, the first time I watched it, I recognised that it was Brad Pitt's character, purely because, I'd seen the character, posters and stuff, clips and stuff just before I'd watched it, so I recognised that it was him. But I can't remember. I can't remember the first time I watched it. I think it was on TV, and I probably could have rewinded it. But I know what you mean. If I was watching it on Netflix or on my phone or something, I would have rewinded it and been like, "Is that what I just think I just saw?" And I feel like it would have spoiled the ending a bit. But that's the whole point, isn't it?
I mean, there's an element of fun to be had with it anyway. Because I had in my notes, because it's one of these where you it's weird to say that you're working out a mystery, because you're not. You start out knowing one of the characters dies and how, and presumably why. So the mystery is who's really at play here? Is someone manipulating? So because you're expected to think about this movie in this heightened level as the plot goes on anyway, I was starting to think things. I was listening to the Sammy Jankis story, and I think I did just write Sammy Jankis Leonard, same character, but I didn't know exactly to what extent. As I wrote it, I was like, I wonder if his real name is just Sammy Jankis, and he's forgot that. I didn't know how much of it, how similar it would be. So when the twist came about that, I was still able to be shocked, even though I knew something was coming because of the specific way it was done. So it's a good fun time.
See, I didn't even see that coming, at all. It shocked me. I was like, oh my god. It was one of those things where it felt like I should have guessed it earlier on, but I didn't. I don't know if that's because, when I first watched this film, I watched it in uni, surrounded by in a lecture hall. So that might have just been kind of, I don't know, it might have been the environment maybe, or I'm just not, it didn't click with me or something, I don't know. But it came as a shock, and then I was like, oh my god, why did I not think of this before? It's obvious. But that's what a good twist is, when you don't see it coming.
Exactly.
In Fight Club.
Exactly.
First time you watched that. But,
I think Joe wants to watch Fight Club.
I think that's what he's hinting.
Picking up a lot of subtle signals.
It's a thingy in it. It's I mentioned at the beginning, so now it's just in my head. So all my examples are going to be to Fight Club, and it's a good film in it, but I don't know.
Maybe occasionally I'm flashing up Tyler Durden in Joe's little box, and you'll have to go back and check.
Oh my gosh, can we actually do Fight Club? Because that's one of the films that I mark as it's gonna be really cringe, as the beginning of how I knew I wanted to be an editor, because this was my one moment in my film class in sixth form where I actually felt like I was doing something right, because no one in the class, bearing in mind there was only 5 of us, actually saw the flashes on screen. And everyone was like, what do you mean? No, there wasn't. And the teacher was like, yeah, there was. And I was like, thank you. And that's how I knew I wanted to be an editor, because we have to catch flash frames. Like, we have to be able to spot them.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Whoa.
maybe I could do this. So, let's do that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the plot. Hopefully still in order, maybe. So he doesn't catch Dodd originally, finds out where he lives, goes to the little motel, grabs a wine bottle, falls asleep on the toilet. How many of us can relate to that? Grabbing a bottle of wine, falling asleep on the toilet. Bloody tragic.
Maybe not on the toilet, maybe on the floor next to it.
Sleep.
Even more tragic.
With just being like, oh man, I don't want to go to bed. Just grabbing the towel and just pulling it down and being like, oh, bedtime.
Try doing that in my bathroom. You guys would know.
Yeah. But yeah, madness. And then waking up like an hour later and being like with the water. But just go. Mad times.
Fantastic.
University, whoa.
I felt like... Anyway. So, he has a shower, because of course he does. You wake up having fallen asleep on the toilet with a bottle of wine, have a shower. It doesn't... Because, again, he would assume that he's staying there. I suppose the disadvantage of him being in a motel or a hotel or anything is there's nothing to say that is his room. There's nothing personal. He can't remember what stuff's his.
Well, he starts off with that, doesn't he? That's one of the opening lines of the movie. Anonymous room, nothing around.
Yeah.
Gideon's... Yeah. I actually love it, the one line where he goes, Gideon's Bible in the drawer. Of course I read it religiously. And then he chuckles to himself.
Classic. Yeah, because you have to think, at least if he was in his own house, he could remember, oh, this is definitely my house. I'm not in some stranger's place. Because he remembers he has his memories from before the accident. Yeah. But he's just a bit fucked, isn't he?
Yeah.
The rest of his life, he's just a bit fucked. Yeah. He gets the prostitute over and does the weird thing where she thinks he's getting off to the fact that she's putting all these things around the room and then just going in the toilet. That was one thing that made me doubt the character a little bit, because to begin with you see, oh, there's just a hooker doing some coke in his toilet. Come on, Leonard, you're better than that. Your wife's dead, mate. Yeah. And then you realise, oh, actually, maybe you are a good guy after all, because you're still trying to remember stuff, I guess. But anyway, to get Dodd, I hope you've been reading this in the right direction.
Oh, have you done a Nolan?
I am. It's fine. And he goes. That's when he goes to Natalie's.
Yep.
Again, and finds out about the no, they meet at the diner. That's right. They go to the diner, and she finds out the information about Teddy from the DMV, because I'm surprised he didn't spot the license plate earlier. Because if Teddy was just driving around in his own car all the time, he would have thought, oh, that's weird.
Oh, yeah.
But they do that. Yeah. Go to the diner, leaves the diner, and that's when he's like, oh, this guy, Teddy, I thought was odd. That guy hanging out with him the whole time was the killer. I thought that a bit suspicious that this guy
too close to home.
Exactly. Would the killer really be just chilling?
There's that whole theory, isn't there, that a killer will sometimes go past the crime scene again. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I can't remember what the reason was. Kind of thing, but you don't hang out with the relative.
You could logic it because if somehow he was the killer and he was able to figure out about his condition, you'd then be able to play it against him, to throw him in the other direction, and you'd never have to worry about him figuring it out, because he's gonna forget you the next time he hears a loud noise.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened in the end, isn't it? So Teddy was trying to convince Leonard to kill another John G, and while he did, it then ended up killing Teddy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whoops. He writes, kill him on the photo, and then takes him off to that abandoned building and just kills him.
Yeah.
Which is... And that's how, chronologically, that's the last event. But obviously it's the first thing we see.
Yeah.
there were loads of like little hints and twists along the way of this, and like little things that suggested that things are gonna be fucked up. Like almost right at the start, there's a line where Leonard's saying, "Oh, memories aren't real. You can't trust them. Only trust facts."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, sure, but you haven't got any memories for one, and anything that you've written down, like, you're gonna be in a bit of trouble.
I mean, did you notice there was little things where I only spotted the one, but there was probably more to hint at that idea that you can't trust your memories. So there was a bit where he was looking at there's 2 times where you see him looking at a photo of Natalie and Jimmy, and in one of the times it's a different actor in the photo as Jimmy. It's a different guy, because Jimmy has the handlebars, so it's really easy to spot. Yeah. And there was one of the times where he was looking at the photo, and there was the dude, whoever it was, didn't have any handlebars.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
So I spotted it was different.
Interesting. That's why I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
In the right order.
I have watched it again and I still didn't notice that either time. So.
But that was basically the end of the plot. It's quite short.
Yep.
Really, when you think about it. A lot of it is stretched out by
is.
the fact that you get a little recap at the end of the scene from before that's the start of the one that you just watched.
Yeah.
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 I think that's right. So as we were saying, there's loads of like reused footage, which is clever. But again, it also makes sense that it didn't take long to shoot, because realistically, the events, it's over in like maybe a day or 2 days.
Yeah, it seems pretty quick.
I mean,
he doesn't change clothes either from the
from
the Jimmy killing originally. So yeah, it's got to be pretty quick.
Yeah. Those clothes must be gross. I mean, Jimmy would have worn them for that whole day, so there's already got another man's sweat in them, and then he put them on, stayed up one night, did some running in them, mate.
Yeah, so the bit at the end, I remember when I very first saw the film, that opening scene where he's like shaking the thing and it's developing. Like, my only thought going into this film was, is he going to be shaking the pictures this whole film? Which he does. You're not meant to do that.
Don't shake them, yeah!
It damages the picture. So, like, he's taught him to do that. Isn't it? So every time he did it, I was like, stop. You need that to remember. You're going to damage it. Bruh.
Turns out his memories were damaged anyway, and it faded as well. So
it's all a metaphor.
Boom.
See, there must have been a time though where maybe you did shake them to develop faster, but I don't remember a time where that ever happening. But I also remember my nan shaking them when we were kids. So
I think it's one of those things when
I think it's a popular misconception.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like the very first time I got it was like 2 years ago. You know the blue ones. I think Amelia, do you have one?
The
one of the blue. Yeah, one of them.
It's down there somewhere.
Yeah, I took a picture. First instinct was to shake it. It came out like black and smudgy. I was like, oh my god, what have I done wrong? And then I googled it and it's like, don't shake it, just leave it. And it's like, oh man, I should have googled it first. But
Lee told me to leave it upside down so you don't get too much light into it.
Oh, fair enough. I'll try that.
Another fact.
But yeah, no, that was my thing going into it, that he was shaking it too much. And I was just, because it's a long shot, that opening shot as well. And you're just kind of there like, you dickhead, stop shaking it. It's just,
Do you know what?
But yeah, so.
The nature of this movie, I think the whole thing of it starting the way it does, and it's quite big and action-packed, and well, I say action-packed. I mean, it's a bit of a fight scene and a gunshot and stuff. Yeah. I do think it unfortunately led to a whole generation of shitty wannabe screenwriters who thought that they were clever for mixing up the order of their films and stuff.
Yeah,
like to the point there's that joke about it in was it the last season or the season before of Rick and Morty, where it's the Purge, but that one guy wants to show Morty his script and get asked for feedback, and Morty's like, stop starting your scripts where they get interesting, start them where they start.
Yeah. See, it's really bad as well because like when I was in like college and stuff when we were writing, We just watched Memento, and no, was it? You know what it was? It wasn't even Memento. It was fucking Fight Club again. But no, but like we have this thing where I think I said it to you guys ages ago. Yeah, I think Fight Club's going to be a thing at some point. No, but I remember saying to you guys at some point that, especially if you watch it when you're younger, when you're in like high school, the first time you watch Fight Club, it becomes your favourite movie for like a week or something. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, what's your favourite film? Fight Club, oh, it's so good, it's amazing, all that plot. And when we were doing our things in college, we wanted to throw in thingy. We wanted to throw in, mix up. Oh, you know what? We actually did, now I'm thinking about it. We made a film, and it was a weird combination between Fight Club and Hotline Miami. So it was all like synthwave 80s stuff. It was called, what did we call it? We called it Ruby Vision. Honestly, you know what? It was amazing.
I mean, what was it? Was it just like you flash frames of a guy in a pig mask? Like,
it was literally right. I'll tell you what it was. It was one of my mates was going in through the front of the house. He had this kind of like my mate had a coat from the 1980s Olympics for some reason. So we got him in that. Got him some glasses like these ones. Got him some glasses like these. Smooth. Gave him a baseball bat. And he went in and we got him beating up all our mates going through the house until he got to me at the end, who was the boss, wearing my black shirt with the button undone. I had my revolver and stuff. I had my suitcase of money. And then all of a sudden he gets to me, and then all of a sudden I get shot in the side of the head, and then it rewinds, like VHS style. And then we go to my other mate, who was, this whole time, he was in a shed in the back. So and then he fights his way out, and then he gets to the window and shoots me, and that's where they connect. And it was the maddest thing in the world. And we did that, but then we also, and this is in our college submission, we submitted this and got an A for it. Oh. We put a single frame of porn in it. And it was, we put a single frame of porn at the beginning, and
I ask what was happening in the porn.
It wasn't bad. It was just a picture of we got like a clip. My mate found like a clip from like a 1970s porno or something with like the woman. It's literally just, she's just like stood there like that, and it was a single frame.
Titties.
And we put it at the beginning, and we showed it to like our teachers and our main tutor. There was two of them. There was the main tutor and there was this like assistant tutor. And we showed it, and in the assistant tutor, the main teacher was like, oh, it was really good. And then after it, the assistant teacher pulled us to one side and was like, did I see some boobs in the middle of that? No. And we were like, no. And he basically said to us, he was like, I'm okay with it, because I get that it's a thing, but you might want to cut it down a bit if you want to submit it, or cut it out. Amazing. And we ended up submitting it. And the worst part about it is now, whenever I watch that video, I see it every single time. I can see it. I know when it's coming.
You're going to have to send it over to us now. You do realise
Yeah, I need to see it on
YouTube. Go on.
It's you'll miss it, but it's there, and I'll see it every. And then as soon as you get told where it is, you know it's it. But yeah,
well, I better not see it.
Yeah.
So
and we actually submitted it and got an A. So if anyone who marked my film, don't take back my score or whatever. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if I can lose an A level. I don't know.
They were both from you instantly.
It's an A level in film, so I don't want to lose that one, if anything. But yeah, there you go. That was my whole point, was that we did that after watching Fight Club for the first time. So, it added on to your point about this film inspiring people to do unnecessarily, messed up structure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're one of them, basically.
Yeah, I did the exact thing. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Good way to link it all back together.
Yeah, but yeah.
So, I think just before we do the all-important rankings, I promised some shit trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
oh yeah.
Trinity was done filming in only 8 days.
Wow.
8 days, and she wrapped it on a movie.
How much does she get paid? That's what I want to know.
That is an excellent question. I don't have the answer to that.
That's fine.
Give that a Google.
Sam can do it as a little pop-up down the bottom. Sorry, Sam.
If it exists, yeah.
Or editing for you. There you go.
Wasn't paid anything.
We'll be here.
What else have we got? Oh, the very last line we hear is supposedly Teddy's voice, but Nolan didn't like the way he said it. Didn't like the way the actor did pronunciation or whatever. So he just redubbed it with his own voice.
Oh, sure.
And no one noticed.
I didn't notice.
Nah,
So I couldn't tell you what Nolan sounds like, if I'm honest, though. I don't know if he's the English, is the American. Who knows?
Who knows?
I think he's English.
And people who know him know, or anyone who's seen an interview knows. I mean, imagine. I think he's English. Have you ever seen him on set?
He
Has
sort
anyone
of
seen a
looks
picture
like
on set?
he sort of looks like Miles Jupp.
I don't know who that is.
He's a comedian. He's been in a few things, but most infamously, he was in Balamory. I think
Barney.
he was.
You've been in Big Pink Castle.
Yeah,
I think his name was Barney. He's on Mock the Week quite a lot.
he had the shorts and the stereotypical Scottish hat.
The kilt, you mean?
Do you know what?
He had
I
the
genuinely
hat as
can't
well.
remember
Oh, he
it.
did. He did have a kilt. Yeah,
Yeah, my man.
he's not Scottish.
I'll give you that, though. It does kind
Look.
of look like him.
I'll put a picture of him just next to Chris Nolan, and we'll see if I'm right.
In Balamory, though, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay.
See, because that's the thing about what you call it. You've seen him Christopher Nolan on set though. He comes in wearing a suit, but he doesn't have a tie on or anything. He comes in
He's
with
like, "I'm
his
relaxed."
thing, with his shirt unbuttoned and his scarf, and he's like, "I'm the director." I don't. That's not his voice. He's probably, like we said before, he's British, but it's well weird.
Pretentious,
we have people
basically.
we have people who come to uni in suits. We do film. Why are you coming in a suit?
Oh, God.
Oh, it's well annoying, and that's the kind of vibe I get from him. I don't like him. So, sorry, Chris. Don't like you.
But do you like his Batman films?
Yeah, I like The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's a good film, I'll give you that. And this was a good film as well. He's done a few good films. But I don't like... I think...
Go on, Joe.
No, go on, I was just going to say... I was going to make another point about how
This is my last bit of shit trivia. It's okay, go on.
That was literally just... I was going to, shit on him some more, because I don't like it.
Quick, keep going.
Okay,
We don't want to
forget that. We won't do that. We don't. Okay, yeah. Last bit of shit trivia. The expiry date, I think, on the driver's license for Teddy is the 29th of February 2001, which is a day that doesn't exist. 2001 wasn't a leap year.
Nice.
So
it's pretty cool.
did all of this ever happen?
Oh.
Wait, when did this film come out?
2000.
01. March 01.
Oh, was it 01?
Oh, right, okay. So it's
So
not like a
maybe
day
in
in
and
the
out.
future. So it didn't come out in the 90s or something, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll do that." And
so
then
it would have
didn't,
expired technically the day that it did come out. Realistically,
Think
because
so.
if you accept
Maybe.
the 29th of February doesn't exist, then you have to accept that as March 1st. So
Yeah.
it came out the
Oh,
day
yeah?
that the
think
registration
so.
expired.
If it
That's
even-
cool.
If it is the,
That's quite cool, yeah.
expiration date, I think it was though. Yeah, I read that.
Oh,
somewhere.
wow.
I mean, does anyone think that I do that there is people before Jimmy in that building? More and more bodies that he's killed. We know there's one. We know that there's the actual John G, supposedly. But I think this has been a cycle he's been going through for quite
Maybe.
some time.
I reckon he's just been he's been using him to kill off people, whatever, drug dealers or whatever.
I think it was
That's
just,
the kind
I
of
think Teddy
thing.
only did one.
Was it the
I
one?
think Teddy only abused him once.
I kind of got the vibe that he'd been doing it for a while.
Yeah, so
doing it
did
with
I.
at least
I
a
don't
few
know why.
people. Yeah. Maybe is it something? I don't know. Yeah, I
Just
thought
to
it was a
use
few
him
people.
just to literally kill people off with no trace.
Yeah, he's just tricking him into things. Because doesn't he say or something? There's always he says something, doesn't he?
There's always a
the
John G.
Yeah, something
Every
like that.
state, everywhere.
Yeah, he says something like that. I think that might have been the line that made me thingy, but I don't know. I assumed there were others, and I assume there'll be others after him.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty unstable, isn't he? So unless he gets arrested,
Well,
and then
not
he'll be like, "Why am I in
necessarily.
prison?"
Because he's got all his tattoos now.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay,
if he
maybe
then
not.
goes, oh yeah, that guy's dead. I've checked out who he is and he's dead. I might have killed him. Because he's got the license plate and everything. Tattooed.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
And all that stuff. So maybe this
Suppose.
could be the last one. Because tattoos are relatively permanent. Unless
Yeah.
in one state of madness he's like, no, I'm going to get all these removed. And then go again.
Wouldn't he forget halfway through? Like, well, it's like, oh god, what's going on? I've got half my tattoo. No, because when you get your tattoo removed, it's like a couple weeks worth of sessions.
Yeah, but eventually, after those couples of weeks, there might be a trace of it. But if he doesn't notice it at first, he just won't remember that he ever had them.
I mean, he could just leave himself another bit of misinformation once he's done with Teddy.
Yeah.
Like,
he just finds a note that says
he could literally have the photograph and right under it wasn't the guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Ultimately, the character is doomed because of course he is.
Prison.
I mentioned that I was going to look at potentially all the awards and stuff that it was nominated for, but it's a long list. I'm not going to read them all out. There's a lot of them. Some of them are for acting, some are for directing, editing, screenplay, adaptation, because technically it was. Yeah, there you go. That's those. People like this movie.
Movie good.
Go to Google.
Movie good. Movie good.
Movie good. Right, brilliant. Well, that was a very quick look at Memento. What we're going to do before wrapping up is we're going to go through the movie one more time. No, we're not. That's too much. We're going to go.
That's a lot of movie.
We're going to go through. We're going to go through one by one, giving any final thoughts we have on the movie, and then we're going to give it a score out of 10. And then I'm going to use maths at the end of it to give an overall score out of 100 and see where it ranks on our best to worst list. Amelia, kick us off.
Hello. I'm sure we're all going to probably say this, and I know we have said it before, but I feel like I need to sit down and watch this movie again. Especially now that we've discussed it, and like there's things I didn't even notice, and I finally understand the things. So I think I would like to sit down and properly watch it again. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So I did really enjoy this film. As a story, I thought it was incredible. Is it linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
I'd say non-linear.
I was trying to remember which one.
I don't know what that means.
So you've got linear, which means the storyline runs in order.
Linear just as in like a straight line.
Yeah, and non-linear means it doesn't kind of all stay in one way. So this would be non-linear. It's like diegetic and non-diegetic. I never remember which one's which. That's to do with sound.
Yeah.
We'll tell you another time, Jacob.
Yeah, that will come up another time. So I did really enjoy it, and I'm going to give this film a 7.
7. Jacob.
So, ordinarily, I don't like ranking movies after just one watch. But I reckon with a film like this, as Joe said, my opinion of it could drop so much dramatically more after a second watch, because the key to it being so good and enjoying it so much is just after that first watch. And while I sort of cheated a little bit watching on my phone, I had to, and scrolled back a little bit to catch up on all the details, probably slightly changed the experience for me, but I think I still got the same effect out of it. Thought it was dead good. Bit of a mindfuck, but the payoff at the end was great. The fact that you got what was at the start at the end, and it made everything like fall into place. Like with those bricks, that little I told you with the bricks, right? Sam and Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing where it like and then it falls into place.
Yeah.
You showed us the thing the other day. The video. Yeah, I was absolutely no idea.
Or the bricks, like the dominoes on the wall.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar. Bad analogy. Cut that out. Either way,
leave it in.
Just have a gif of it as he's saying it, just over on his face.
That's either way. Anyway, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Joe.
So when I first watched it, I probably would have ranked it quite high, and I'm not going to rank it low. But it's like it's a weird one because you can't quite enjoy it as much the second time round. So I'll, obviously, because I've watched it for this, I'll rank it based on the second viewing. It's still a good film, you know. It's still pretty up there with you can when you know the plot twist, you can focus on other things, and like the things with like we were saying before with the editing, you notice more things like that. So I'm gonna give it probably like a 7, because even though I'd watched it before, I knew the plot twist, and it was, there's nothing really there to surprise me. It was it's a well-made film, I think. Well, no, it is. It's a well-made film, and they set up the plot twist really well. And yeah, so 7.
7. Nice. Yeah, I really liked it as well. I actually think this movie's stunning. I think for such a low budget, they've pulled out. It's really it's gorgeous without being over the top. It's beautifully shot. It's really, really well edited. Everyone turns in a good performance. The script is just spectacular because it's a good narrative forwards, but it's an excellent narrative backwards. And to be able to put that together is absolutely stunning. There's a good reason why this often gets used as like the example while teaching storytelling to students. Do you know I didn't get taught this because my script writing tutor thought he was cool. So when he was breaking down narrative structure, he went through The Force Awakens. So
wow.
Oh wow.
So the good news is I didn't get this spoiled by just a lesson in uni. But yeah, no, I actually think this is really, really good, and there's lots of good reasons to be studying it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, which gives us an overall score after maths of 77.5 out of 100, placing it at the 4th greatest movie.
Wow. Well done.
Which brings us to the most important bit of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next week. Joe, take it away.
So obviously Memento's quite a, as Jacob described it, mindfuck of a film. So I thought we'd go something a little easier. Good film, everyone likes it. So for next week, we're going to be infiltrating the dealers and finding the suppliers. We're going to watch 21 Jump Street, the new one.
Nice.
Not the
Nice.
not the 80s thing, but the new one.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
Excellent.
good stuff.
Right. Give us I'm going to do that again. Right. Okay, that was Memento. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below, and join us next week for 21 Jump Street.